And thank you for joining today's demo, Reimagine Rapid Authoring AI-powered content, avatars, and real-time collaboration in MicroBuilder. I'd like to thank today's sponsor, ELB Learning. ELB Learning creates learning experiences that activate your people, resulting in a more successful organization. As I said earlier, I'm Chloe. I'm the content specialist at ETD and today's moderator. I will be checking out your questions in the chat and we'll be sharing them with our speaker, who I'd like to now introduce. Joshua Bleggi is the Learning Solutions Engineer at ELB Learning. Thank you, Joshua, for being here, and we look forward to learning more about using MicroBuilder.
Thanks, Chloe. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and I'm going to just go ahead and start my screen share here for everyone. Just a quick second to do that there. So you should all be seeing our software screen here. Um, so it's great to be with you all today and talk a little bit about MicroBuilders. So to just kind of introduce MicroBuilder from a basic level before we get into looking at some of the features here. MicroBuilder is a tool that we've been developing for the last about 2 years now, where we saw this kind of need in the industry for tools that are more, I guess, user-friendly and easier to navigate and create content with than your kind of traditional e-learning authoring tools. And so the idea here being that we created a application that can help anybody really get in there and create content. A lot of that has to do with the AI features that we'll show today, but just to kind of give you a brief look under the hood about like what MicroBuilder creates so that you get an idea of what type of content we're looking at here today. MicroBuilder is really designed for these very simple and straightforward, quick to develop courses here. So a lot of it can be developed using all the things built in that we'll show today, whether that be these avatar videos or even the content here, which is all created with AI, including all the questions that are thrown in here. We've also integrated our asset library. If you know of ELB Learning or our previous name, eLearning Brothers, you'll notice that some of those things are still present in here from our asset library as well. But the idea here being this very simple, easy to consume piece of content is what we are going to be building here today. So with that being said, we'll get into actually like building one of these modules here here on the call live today using our AI. So when I select create new module, I get brought to this prompt box here that will allow me to type in a description of the e-learning module that I'd like to create. I can even upload source files as well to help inform this AI that we're working with today. But I'll be honest, as I prepped for this webinar, I was having trouble coming up with a topic to build this on. So I tend to go to something kind of ridiculous during these demonstrations, but I thought I would just ask you guys in the chat if there's any topic that you'd like me to build a microlearning module on. Maybe it's something that you've been trying to build yourselves and you're trying to see, okay, what will the AI do with that? Or maybe there's just something really ridiculous that you're wondering, can the AI actually build a microlearning about that? If you notice on my dashboard there, I actually have a module about training cats to be circus performers. So it can really be whatever you'd want. Okay, so we got emotional intelligence. Okay, Jay, can you give me a bit more detail on that in particular audience or anything for that one? I'll take any other suggestions as well. Ooh, returning to office 5 days a week. Okay, emotional intelligence for healthcare workers. How about technical software? That would be an interesting one. So I like the emotional intelligence for healthcare workers one. So we'll go ahead and throw that in the chat box. So I typically just like to say, build me a robust microlearning, we'll just say module about emotional intelligence for healthcare workers. Now, obviously, I could get a bit more detailed than this. I could put in, reading level, those types of things in there, but I'm just going to kind of leave it there real fast for us, just for sake of demonstration here. So we'll go ahead and hit create. And so we'll just wait a moment here for the AI to do its work. So essentially what's going on right now is it's taking the prompt that we put in that box and then doing its kind of thinking. I mean, I'm sure many of you are aware of how generative AI functions, where it's going back to a large language model, pulling out content for us, and then formulating it into a module here that we'll have in just a second. You'll notice here that we have some trivia that pops up as we're waiting here. This is more to, just let you know that things are still going the right direction here. But it does try to tailor itself to whatever the topic is as we get through the module here. So it is, giving us a little trivia about emotional intelligence, which is what we, built our module about here. So um, as this finishes up, and it can take, a minute or two to get there, but looks like it uh, is ready to go now. But we'll build this out right in front of you as you're looking at it. Now, keep in mind, like this is meant to be a starting point. So really how like I personally approach AI, and I think that we all kind of need to think about it, is that AI gives us a nice starting point to building any sort of content that we want to build, but it's not the end all be all. Of everything of it's not necessarily something that we should publish right away here, so we definitely want to go back and read through this. And if I was going to build this out as an actual module, I would go back and like go through very fine-tunedly through each step and make sure that it kind of matches what I'm looking for there. I may change up the voice of it as well, add different things in there too. But the AI built into microbuilder can actually help us too. So say here like components of emotional intelligence, I read through this and it's like, okay, self-awareness, self-regulation, okay, those seem great, but let's actually expand on that a little bit more. So underneath this menu here, I'll go ahead and elaborate. And you'll notice that when I clicked on that, and I'll show this here in just a second again, but you notice on next to elaborate and also simplify there, it gives us a little like refresh mark here, similar to the symbol you're seeing here right next to it. So that's going to rewrite what's in this block for us. And that's how we refer to this within microbuilders. Each of these text pieces and any other content that we add in there is going to be referred to as a block. So you might hear me use that word quite often. So here we got definitely a much more robust explanation of the different components of emotional intelligence. So definitely here I'd want to go through this and probably uh, format it a little bit better here, just because a big block like this isn't really going to work very well for us. But I can also just again use this to simplify that back down. If I'm like, okay, maybe I don't want to read through that entire thing, I just want to have something a bit more concise there, it will do that for me. Now, you'll also notice here too, and I'll come down here to this next block to show this. There's also these options here to add additional content to your module. So these won't rewrite this block, but they'll use these blocks as context to then add additional content. So this can be things like, oh, maybe an analogy here. So go ahead and have it provide an analogy about self-awareness and the healthcare environment. And it'll go ahead and write that out for us here, but you'll notice that it's adding that down here. You might see some little gray lines here showing that it's writing additional content for us. And so that's going to pull that in there for us. So we can kind of go read through this and see, okay, do we want to use this alongside this piece of content here, maybe add a little introduction of our own to it, or do we want to rewrite some of it or maybe replace that with it? You can do the same thing with scenarios. You can also add questions. This is possibly my favorite bit of this because I am very terrible about writing like distractors to questions without making them super obvious here. So I just let the AI do that for me now, which really helps out quite a bit. And you can see here it made us a multiple select question. Again, kind of keeping that whole thing in mind there. Again, you can do this with scenarios as well as step-by-step instructions. Obviously, for step-by-step, I want to have something a bit more conducive to that, which right now does not look like most of these are going to have step-by-step potential here. But when we take a look at this as well, if I hit add block instead of pull from that menu, you'll notice that I can add my own analogy or scenario step-by-step instructions. And the way that this differs is now I can give it a bit more direction here if I would want to. So if there was a particular way I wanted the analogy to be written, I could put that in here, send that prompt off, and it's going to include that for me there this time around here. So pretty helpful in that regard too. Now, beyond just creating text-based content or modifying the content here, there's a couple of different options here to utilize AI to help create different forms of media, you could say. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this initial block here. and you'll see why in just a second. Because when I do my modules, I typically like to introduce them with one of our avatars here. So these avatars, you might have seen these type of softwares before, where you pick somebody that you pick a character here that you like to use, and then you'll go ahead and pick a background here. Now you can upload your own, which is quite neat. That's actually a release we did just last week, to be able to include your own background, because these are obviously pretty limited, but we'll kind of go ahead and pick one of these here for us, and then go ahead and type in my script here. And you notice that auto detected that language as English, so you could put other languages in here as well. Then you do have the option to select your voice here. So we can see what Alice will sound like here.
Just trust yourself, then you will know how to live.
That doesn't quite sound like the lady that we just picked here. So let me go ahead and try something a little different here. I think I usually
If you spend your whole life waiting for the storm, you'll never enjoy.
like Jessica.
Our distrust is very expensive. Our distrust
We'll
is
go ahead
very
and use
expensive.
Laura here. And so I'll go ahead and generate the audio now. And so this is going to produce the audio clip here so that I can preview it. So I'm not just basing my audio off just that little sound selection there. Now I could have also affected the speaking rate too, because some of these AI voices tend to speak slower than natural, or maybe sound better if they're sped up a little bit. But that gives us a little bit of control there. Now I can go ahead and listen to
Emotional intelligence, often abbreviated as EI or EQ, is the ability to recognize, understand.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. So I'll go ahead and generate this video now. Now this will take a little bit to generate, because obviously it's video, it's going to take a moment. But what's nice here is you can start one of these videos, and as soon as it gets to this screen here, you can go ahead and just go about the rest of your work, and you're good to go here. So, I like to throw these in, throughout the module a little bit, typically for sure at the beginning and end, just to kind of bring things together. Because what I do now with my content is I'll actually add an audio clip to each of the blocks, so that way if someone doesn't want to read, they can actually listen to it. And I can do that pretty easily here by just saying, okay, audio block. And I have the option to either upload my own audio clip or record audio here too. But I like to use the text to speech here. And I'll go ahead and put in my text again. And similarly to the avatar builder, it's going to give us all this control in here. Now we have a bit more control, you'll see down there in the advanced settings, than we do with the avatars currently. But I'll go ahead and try to find the same voice, which I can't remember if we used Jessica or Laura. I think we used Laura, so I'll go ahead and put her in here. Again, I can go ahead and use these advanced settings to kind of work with that a little bit more. I typically like to turn on the speaker boost, because I noticed when I hovered over the tooltip here that it enhances the voice characteristics to make the speech sound more natural and clear, which is obviously what I want. So I'll go ahead and hit generate there. And similarly to, again, the avatars, you're able to hear a clip of what the voice just sounds like normally, but once we actually generate the clip, you can listen to it here as well.
Self-regulation involves.
And then click if you want to save that and just insert that. So now we have this little player in here. Now on all our media here, we do have this completion tracking. So I'll go ahead and enable that for us. That way it's going to track that as part of our completion of our module. And you can see we have some effects there. Notice here on our settings too, we do have like a playback speed control. So if someone likes to listen to things at twice the speed they can, you'll also get subtitles as part of this. As far as this audio as well here. Same thing with the avatar videos too, which is still generating for us right now. Now, the other part of this that a lot of companies appreciate is the fact that we also include AI translation within the module, because I think many of us know how expensive like traditional translation can get, but we want to make sure things get globalized to our entire audience. And so what I'll go ahead here and do is I'll go ahead and translate this into a number of different languages. Now, notice there's about like 70 or 75. I've never actually counted them myself, but there's quite a few in here that you can translate to. But I'll go ahead and pick just a couple of ones that I'm kind of familiar with. here. So I'll go ahead and say French, and maybe we'll do Italian as well. Now you notice here that we have supported features here. So this will tell us what it will actually translate in the module. So it will translate text, closed captioning, and voiceover in the case of these languages that I'm selecting right now. It's some of them you'll notice will just do the text and closed captioning. Just depends on which languages they are. And I'll go ahead and hit translate now, and we'll take a look at this real fast. So you notice that as I hit translate now, we have this little globe icon that's going to appear here at the top of the module. And I'll go ahead and just toggle through this so you can kind of see. So it's changing the text here on screen, including in the questions there. It also
Self-regulation involves
will, once we save the module, it will change that voice out a little for the translated voice there. It will affect those closed captionings as well, but typically I have to close down the module and reopen that. So we'll see that in just a second. But you can kind of see the toggle there between the different languages. So let's go ahead and kind of close that out and come back into it real fast here. And we'll go ahead and toggle that to our French language there.
L'autorégulation consiste à
And so you can see
contrôler
that
ses
it changed the
réactions
voice there.
émotionnelles face à des situations.
When I pull up the closed
Dans
captioning,
le
it
domaine de
also
la santé,
put those in there for you. So it is doing that work there. Again, sometimes you have to close it out and bring it back in. Now, because the video just finished processing, it actually won't be
emotional intelligence.
translated at this time, just because it was not part of the initial translation there. So once we hit publish, it'll actually run the translation again, and it should hit that too as we go through, but we may need again to close out the module and bring it back in. And the nice thing with MicroBuilder here too is we do make it very easy to publish and distribute your content. So once I hit publish here, again, it's going to run through that translation for us again. But I can either download this as a SCORM file or a PDF or XAPI file as well, or I can share it as a URL, either as public or a private link. And this will allow us just to share this out pretty easily, say over like Microsoft Teams or Zoom or something of that nature, whatever you're using as your platform there. Now, so that's all the kind of the AI components to this. Now, another part of what we wanted to show today is another thing that's going to kind of enhance the workflow with MicroBuilder. So not only will AI help save you time, but one of the common things that we get asked for is the ability to work with another individual within a single module. And so that's what our next release is going to be all about. Now, unfortunately, it's taken a little bit more time to develop these develop this feature set than we initially had thought. So we were feeling like it's going to be released by this point, but it is not fully released. So I need to pull up a different environment to show you all. So just give me 1 second while I do that. Chloe, while I'm doing this, was there any questions in the chat so far?
Yes, we have one question asking about how to ensure the translation is accurate. Have you run some tests to make sure that it's accurate?
We have. So we've done our best to ensure that it's as accurate as we possibly can. Now, again, you still most likely will want to run it by some native speakers just to be sure it's going to function, going to be a good translation for you. We did try to do our best to vet it out as best as we could. But again, we didn't necessarily test all the languages in the same manner. So where we did have some native speakers or some people with proficiency, we were able to get them to kind of review it and let us know. But you're definitely going to want to vet that yourselves as you're going through.
Great.
So let me go ahead, and it wants me to log in. Sorry, real fast. So you guys are getting a sneak peek. We actually have not shown this to anyone outside of ELB at this point in time. So you guys are actually the first ones to see this. So I'm going to go ahead and log in, and I'm opening up 2 different browser windows. This is by intent because I'm actually going to log in as 2 different individuals, myself and then my buddy Bruce here. Now, in here, I've created a module already, And you'll notice that says here all content here, but I'm actually going to come down here uh, to this one on Bruce's side and show you that it's shared with him. So what people are going to be able to do now, because currently your modules stay local to just your environment, but now we have the ability to share that with another individual. So as I open this up, you'll see that it'll show both of us here within the module. You'll see that I can see Bruce's cursor and he can see mine over here on your screen. So that way, you know, okay, where is this person working? But even if I come over here and I click into this, it's going to lock this down for us. So that way we can see, okay, Joshua's working up here, Bruce is working down here. And we can come in here and make our own changes to this as we're kind of working together on it. But we can also leave comments here too. So we kind of come down here, we can see that there were some comments on here when they've been closed out, or I can come in here and say, okay, I want to add a new comment here. I can tag my collaborator here, Bruce, and say, hey, good job with this question, and send that to him. Now, he'll not only like see that appear on his comments here, he'll also get an email that he was tagged. He'll get an email when this was shared with him. And we'll kind of be able to go back and forth here. So this will enable us to like work together on this module, or if I'm out, Bruce can come in here and work on this and make changes to it. Now, so it's going to be a really fun collaboration here. Now, obviously, again, these are still in development, so I'm being a little selective on what I'm clicking on right now, but we will have these, the plan right now is to have these released in early part of October. So you'll see a bit more about this around then, but this will give you kind of just a sneak peek to see, you know, what's coming up for us. And I think, again, this will help really amplify the process of working together across an entire organization. So I'll go ahead and kind of stop there and see if there's any questions while we have only like a few minutes left here.
Yeah, we have some more questions based on the translation. One
Okay.
question asks if the translation is utilizing existing AI tools like ChatGPT, if it's just their translation level as well.
So it is using an existing AI. It's not currently using ChatGPT though for its translation. It's using something else. I can't remember exactly what we're using right now. It's not coming to the top of my head here, but it is using an existing AI model. And so I guess to kind of clarify, like we've edited as best we could to see the accuracy for ourselves on it. So it's, again, AI is still within the translation realm. It's still really hard to tell if it's going to be, you know, how accurate is. It definitely is getting more accurate, but we did our best to make sure from our testing that it was going to be as accurate as we could.
Another question was, can you add your own backgrounds to the avatar videos that are created?
Sorry, ask that one more time. Apologies.
Can you add your own backgrounds to the avatar videos?
You can, yeah, you can upload your own background.
Another question was, would you say that avatar generation will become faster over time?
I think it will. Just because, you know, things are constantly improving. I think we've seen a lot of strides forward over the last couple of years. Since I think for most of us, like generative AI was not something we had heard of previous to, you know, maybe last year, you know, or a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And we've seen things take many strides coming ahead. I think what makes it a kind of a challenge is like creating video is it, it just takes longer than I think we all wish it did. And so I think we're going to see that still take longer than most other generative AI, but it definitely should get faster as technology improves further, at least in my opinion.
Can you export the video if you wanted to put it on other platforms as well?
You can't from within MicroBuilder. However, as part of your what we call the studio, let me get back to my other module here. So MicroBuilder is part of our greater like Learning Creation Studio, which includes all of our other applications. If you're ever interested in looking at those, we'll put some information up on the screen to look at more of the ELB Learning. But we have it as part of what we call our AI toolkit. And from here, you can download those videos or even the audio from the text-to-speech generator. They're both available here as external services, so you're able to download them yourselves. And it's the same service in both areas, just MicroBuilder doesn't allow you to download it.
There was one question that's curious if the tool, I believe MicroBuilder, is similar to Rise Articulate in terms of like it's a course building tool in that sense.
That's correct. Like that's, I think the biggest analogy we get, we definitely see it as a little bit different than Rise, but for sure it kind of fits the same spot in the toolkit that Rise would for most of our customers. So we have our traditional e-learning authoring tool like Tora, and then MicroBuilder is kind of a supplement to that for easier content creation.
Great. Those are all the questions that I have right now. If anybody else has some more questions, we have a few more minutes. Feel free to pop them in. Oh, one just came in that asks, is MicroBuilder pricing per user or can users share the same login?
It's gonna be priced per user.
Oh, and we have confirmation that the AI is OpenAI is the.
Yeah, for the content generation is using OpenAI. For the translations, I do believe we use something else, Jen, unless I'm wrong. But
I have another question about how many languages can you use the translation in a single module?
that's a great question. And I honestly have not figured out the top limit on it. It's definitely, as you can see, I was able to do 2 in here. I've done, I think, up to about 10 at once within a module. Definitely takes longer to translate at that point. But you can put, like most companies, I don't think go past that typically. And so, yeah, so I don't know really a top limit, but you can put quite a few in one module, so that way you don't have to generate multiple courses.
There's another question that asks how building it inside the specific tool is more beneficial than just going to AI.
You know, that's again something that we hear from people quite often is I can go to AI and get this, and it's like, yeah, you can, but I think the formatting and things to get it into the SCORM file, you know, it just saves a few steps for sure than having to copy and paste it over, particularly when it's using the same models behind it. And so I think there is some advantage to using it here just because, again, everything's kind of built into the one place versus trying to like copy and paste, because I sometimes think that takes way longer to copy and paste it over than it would be just to generate it directly here within the module, because I've kind of tested both workflows and it definitely took me a lot longer to go the OpenAI route and just going through ChatGPT, bringing it over versus generating directly within MicroBuilder itself.
Yeah. There's another question about, can we firewall our documents?
In a way, yes. So the documents do not really go into the module to train it at all. So basically how the AI is working, since we're going through an API key, at least how it's been explained to me from our product team, is that the documents are being used for that initial call into the AI to generate the module. And from that point, we're no longer storing it. It's not going into the overall model to train it at any point. So they are still protected. It's not necessarily a firewall per se. And so you do want to kind of weigh that as you're thinking about like using AI tools just in general, is okay, how much information do I want to put into this, even knowing that it will forget it after the initial call.